Hey everyone, Canson here, and today I'm gonna try and do some drawing for you while talking. And talking and drawing has been very difficult for me. I mean, if you've seen any of my streams, you'll know that one of the reasons I don't really draw on my streams is because it's very difficult. Wait, didn't I just say that? Yeah, it's hard for me to talk and draw. I get caught up in, like, I don't know, like even now it's happening. And usually what I do for these is I will, unless I'm doing a tutorial, like, oh, this is how you draw the shoulder or something. Unless I'm doing that, I tend to record the drawing part separately and the talking part separately, and that way I don't have to talk and draw at the same time, because I really fail at that. But I figured I would try to talk and draw for this one because it's kind of relevant to what I wanted to talk about, and that is different ways of drawing. And for the past few weeks, I've been really struggling with drawing. I'm just not feeling satisfied with the stuff I do. Maybe not the end result, because the end result's fine, but there's this thing where I've figured out the style thing, and it's cool and everything. And I do like it. It's not like I dislike it, but there's this other, I don't know if it's a way of drawing. There's this way I used to draw that I have been missing, I guess. And it's a lot looser. It's something that I draw in my, it's a way I draw in my secret sketchbook that I don't show anyone. And it's not the way I'm currently drawing. So this is like the way I have been drawing lately, and the way I used to draw, and I still do for my other sketchbook, is more like this. Like, I just come up with things, and it's really fast, and it's much more intuitive as a drawing method. And I don't know, it's something that's a bit more fun, I guess. And I've been wondering, like, because, okay, so one of the things I really wanted to do with drawing, and if you've seen my super old, I think it's like the first episode of Pointy Chins, I talk about how I didn't really have a direction. And people would point that out all the time. They would say, you know, your stuff is all over the place. And I felt like, well, I want a style that looks cool, that people respond to and people like, that I like. That was super important, that I like. And I want it to be reliable, so I can always, you know, draw an okay drawing. You know, I don't have to be having a good day to do a drawing. It can just be, like, even if I'm having a bad day, it'll still be decent. And with this scribbly way of drawing, it felt too random, because when I draw this way, I don't actually have full control over it, or much control at all. Like, I didn't know what this character was going to be. I just started drawing and not thinking too much. And I felt like, well, I need to be able to do something reliably, not just, oh, draw whatever. But that's not enough recently. It's not that I don't like this style. It's just that in some ways I feel like it's missing something that I get from this other way of drawing, even though this other way of drawing is super unpredictable and I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's that usable commercially. And I'm trying to figure out how to do both. So I can draw really loose and yet, I don't know, create stuff that is what I want in my head. So, I don't know. It's been very difficult the past couple weeks, maybe a bit more than that. And I'm having a bit of a crisis of who am I and what do I want? And this is pretty common for me. And I think what it really comes down to is that I need to, I guess, admit to myself something that I don't really talk about on videos. I have mentioned it here and there, but it's that I have a dissociative disorder, and what that means is, let's just do a diagram about what that is. So like, let's say you have a sense of self, and most people have, well, let's say there's a global self. So that's kind of like, this is your sense of self, what you think of yourself and all your emotions and everything. I think of it like a planet, and that's just you, you know. And that's some people, they have a self like this. But most people, what they have is kind of a more fragmented sense of self, where you have parts of yourself. Let's say when you deal with people, you're not the same. Like when you talk to your parents, you're kind of one thing, and when you talk to your friends, you're a bit different, but you're still the same person, but you're sort of different in your facets, and that's like you're these different parts, but they're all still connected. And with someone who, so, you know, like this self and this self, and with someone who really dissociates like me, you don't have either of these. You just have like this stuff, where you have like a self here, and maybe like there's some parts that connect here, and they're all very fragmented. And so what happens is, for me to ask myself a question like, what do I want to see? Because I think this is the most important question you should ask yourself when you're creating a piece of artwork, is what do I want to see on the page? What would I like this empty page to turn into? What goes here, you know? For some people, that's pretty easy. If you have this big thing, it's like, oh, I know what I like. I like this one thing. If you're a bit more fragmented, but you're still together, it's like, well, I kind of like this sometimes, and I like that other times, and I like to draw this way some of the time and this other way. With more dissociated people, well, with me anyway, it's like this one wants to draw one thing in one style, and this one wants to draw something completely different in another style, and this one maybe hates art, doesn't want to draw at all. So it gets really hard to answer the question of what do I want to see? And it's all well and good if I could just be a bunch of different artists, but in order to get really good to the point that someone would want to, you know, hire you to do artwork, it's very difficult to be a bunch of different artists. Like, oh, I like to do realistic paintings, and I also like to do completely pushed caricature things, and I also like to do anime things. And so what I did is I came up with this thing as a compromise. Like, okay, so what did I usually like to draw when I was a teenager? Well, kind of anime things, okay. But they were a bit pushed, so let's push it a bit. And I don't know. It's fine, but it's not all that I want to be, or I don't know. It's not everybody is happy, you know? Like maybe one of these selves is like, yeah, that's great, cool. And this other one's like, I don't want to be doing this. So juggling that has been really difficult, and trying to be a good teacher while having so much unrest going on it's not the best. And I have a lot of insecurity about this, a lot of self-doubt about whether or not I am a good teacher, because like I figure if you're a good teacher, you should probably know stuff, and most of the time I feel like I don't know anything and I'm just sort of doing whatever. So lately what I've been trying to explore is that maybe I have to be a bunch of different artists. I can't just be one artist. I can't just do one thing. I have to explore a lot of things. Like I do still like to draw faces, so that seems to be something we all share in common, is this face thing. And I figure maybe it's good to explore the other parts of yourself that don't just want to draw the same thing. I try and make it so my videos relate to other people in some way. I don't know if this is going to relate to you or not. I guess you can let me know if it does or doesn't relate to you. But it is something that I'm struggling with, so I figured, like, okay, I'll talk about it. I'll just draw, and if I draw in my naturals, I don't know if it's natural, because it's like, it's easier, for sure it's easier to draw all scribbly. And if you remember, I mean, if you've been following me for a long time, and you remember my old speed sketches, what I used to do is I would just start scribbling stuff, and then I would turn it into something. And that was like, yay, that's cool, I guess, except I don't feel like I'm in control at all. Like very, very little control. Like the scribbles could turn into anything. I just have to see something, and I would keep scribbling until I see something. And it's like, okay, so now I see there's a face here, and this is a person, and there's this other thing here. I don't know. It would just be a lot more organic and flowy and nonsensical. So, I don't know. I find it very hard to talk. I thought it might be easier if I like talk and do this stuff instead of the drawing where I talk and I have this very broken down approach, which is something that I just have a lot of mileage in now because I've been drawing this way for a while and gotten better at it. So, but actually it's easier to draw this way now than, like, to talk and draw this way seems easier than this way. And I don't know why that is. I figured it might be easier to draw this way because I don't have to think about anything. I just sort of zone out and draw. Do you have the okay, so whoever's watching this, do you have this where you draw differently when you just zone out? I figure it's probably common to just you revert to drawing the same thing, and it's a bit different. Do you find it easier to talk to people and draw, or do you need to think a lot when you draw? Because I think I need to think, but really, I suppose what I'm looking for is control more than anything else. I am a control freak, I guess, in terms of how I like to live my life. I would like to have control and know what I'm doing and not be held hostage to whims and, oh, maybe today I have a good drawing day. So for me, a style that's very almost formulaic, something a bit more rigid feels easier, and something that's like, oh, well, what could this be? I don't know. It's this thing, and this seems too unpredictable. But to be honest, I like stuff like this, and a lot of times the work I would like would be stuff other people wouldn't like so much. And so, I don't know. I figure I've got to start just doing what I like, but I also, as I said earlier, with the sense of selves things, like I want different things at different times. I don't just want to be, I'm not just one thing all the time. So, drawing like this is almost easier if I don't look at the page, because when I look at it, I start to think, and then I start to judge, and I start to make something, instead of just letting things happen. It's okay if I look after a while when the main point is already there, but if it's not yet solidified, then it's very difficult for me to decide, what do I want to do. I tend to just look at a shape and judge it. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say I put down this squiggle. I'll be like, well, that's a face or something, so where do the eyes go? Whereas if I don't think about it and I let myself create, I tend to come up with different ideas. And I don't know if this is something you could try, but if you've never tried it, I think it could be good, and that is to create stuff in a more scribbly way and see what happens. But maybe this is just what works for me. And see, I didn't know I was gonna create this like turtle-ish creature. It looks like a turtle to me anyway. I guess its shell would be somewhere. But yeah, see, when I try and say, I guess its shell would be somewhere, I'm tempted to put down stuff. And that's not what I should be doing. I should not be thinking about it and just let the lines go wherever they want to go. And it felt stupid in a way, because it's like, you don't even know what you're doing. You're just putting random stuff down and hoping for the best. When I was talking to Flavia, and she mentioned something that I felt made sense. And she was saying that there is verbal thinking, and that would be like this, where I can explain exactly what I'm doing. I can say, start with like guidelines and get the crosshair, get the perspective of the head, get the ear, the jaw. And this is very verbal thinking, like I'm explaining what I'm doing. And then there's nonverbal thinking, which is more this stuff and whatever, which is you don't put it into words, but that doesn't mean it's not thinking. And I don't know. I find that a bit scary, actually, like just the concept of it, that you don't have full control over what you're doing. This idea of nonverbal thinking, but at the same time, at least it's still thinking. At least it's not like just completely reckless. Like some part of you knows what it's doing. It's just not the part that may be thinking. And I got to wondering how many artists really know what they're doing and can actually walk you through every step of the way very analytically, like this stuff. And how many, you've drawn so long that this stuff just becomes muscle memory, and not even muscle memory, but just you go purely off intuition. And then if someone asks, well, why are you doing it? They explain something as if it's their thought process, but it's not actually their thought process. It's just an after the fact thing. Because if you ask me like, okay, so why did I do all that? I could say, oh, I'm trying to get the form of the face to turn. But that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking about what I was telling you about, like there's the analytical way. Whatever I was saying, that's what I was actually thinking. What I was drawing was not what I was thinking. It was just random. My thing was just doing whatever it wants to do. So I'm sorry. I'm struggling so much with talking and drawing this. I did hope this would be more smooth and streamlined, but it ended up being this, and that's what we're dealing with. Should I just stop it here? I guess there's not much more to say. I feel like, yeah, don't want to waste paper, so I'll just make a person here. Yeah, this is kind of how I like to draw when no one's looking. It's very, I don't know what it is, but it's more fun. It makes me laugh. So, I'd like to say I hope this helped, but I don't know with what, because basically all I did is tell you that I'm struggling and I'm trying something different. And I mean, if there's a lesson, maybe that's it. If you're really struggling and you're not feeling like you're enjoying what you're doing, try something different. But at the same time, I don't know where this is leading, so maybe, you know, in a couple of weeks or so, I'll have to make a video saying, oh yeah, you know, all that stuff I was talking about with trying something different. Don't do that. That's terrible. But it doesn't feel wrong. It just feels really confusing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how this affects, like I'm still drawing for work. I still draw the same way as I did for a while, you know, like this stuff, I still draw like that for work, but starting to wonder if I could get away with drawing in a more, not just cartoony, because it just depends. Sometimes I want to draw realistically, but in a more open way, a more intuitive way, where I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but it still can work out. And maybe there's a way of combining the two, where you are aware of what you want to draw and you can get a good result. Or maybe it has to be that, well, I just have to draw in a bunch of different ways and become very good at being, you know, maybe like 4 different artists or something. Thanks for watching.